Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to win faceoffs in NHL20. I'll be going over what goes into winning a faceoff as well as all of the faceoff counters and strategies you can use online. Faceoffs work differently in HUT and EASHL because of how much faceoff ratings matter when it comes to counters. In HUT, the player with the higher faceoff rating will typically win the faceoff if both centers perform the exact same move, so it's wise to build your centers around being strong on faceoffs. This doesn't matter as much when you get to the higher divisions because nearly everyone has centers with 99 faceoffs, so it comes down to who counters who. But if you're in the lower divisions, then it makes a good difference because everyone's team isn't that good, so target centers early that have good faceoff ratings. In EASHL, every class has the same faceoff rating. Unless you're a defensive defenseman or something, but in that case, it's kind of silly to use a defender at center anyways. This means that faceoffs are all about outthinking your opponent. I'm now going to cover some pretty basic faceoff info, so if you already know how to do the faceoffs and how to set up, feel free to skip ahead to the timestamp on screen. So, in NHL20, you can set up for a faceoff on either your forehand or your backhand to win it, and to do this, just hold the right stick to either the right or left depending on your player handedness. You're going to want to hold the stick out to the side until it's time to win the faceoff, so be careful not to jump too early or let go of it. With these setups, you have a few options to choose from. Now, with the forehand and backhand, each have 3 moves you can perform which mirror each other, and those are the basic win, the stick lift, and the tie-up. The basic backhand/forehand win is a simple win to either your backhand or forehand side. You perform this by moving the right stick down to the 6 o'clock position when you see the ref start to drop the puck. For the stick lifts, it's the exact opposite of the basic win. If you want to perform a stick lift, you instead want to move the right stick upwards to the 3 o'clock position. Your player will do this motion where they first lift the opposing center's stick and then win it backwards, and that's how you know you did it correctly. To perform a tie-up, instead of moving the right stick, you want to move the left stick up to the 3 o'clock position when the ref drops the puck. Your player will then push the opposing center away from the puck, or you may just lock up with them. In either case, your winger or D-man should be coming in to take it from you. There's 2 other face-off moves that don't fall into either category, and those are the deke move and the face-off shot. The deke move can be pulled off by holding the L1 button on Xbox or LB on PlayStation and pressing upwards with the right stick. You don't want to touch the left stick with this move, just the right stick. For the shot, all you want to do is not hold or press anything until the ref drops the puck. When he begins to drop it, flick upwards with the right stick and your player will attempt to fire a shot on net directly off the faceoff. I'll talk about it more in depth later, but these 2 really don't have any sort of viability if you're playing seriously. For all of these faceoffs, you have a window of when the ref's hand begins to move to when the puck leaves his hand to perform any of these. Timing doesn't matter as long as you do the move within this window, so don't get too trigger happy trying to win one. Now that I've explained how to physically perform a faceoff, I want to discuss the counters to each faceoff. Each faceoff in the game has other faceoff moves that it can overpower and lose to, so it becomes a big game of rock, paper, scissors, and chess. If you still don't get it, basically it means that faceoff A beats faceoff B, but faceoff A loses to faceoff C, and faceoff B beats faceoff C. I've made some graphics for each faceoff to make this a little more visually appealing to you guys as well. So let's start off with the basic backhander. On screen you'll see this graphic I made to show you all the counters of this move. You'll see that if your opponent does either a backhand or forehand stick lift, you're going to win the faceoff cleanly. However, the basic backhand loses to someone who does a tie-up. If your opponent does either a basic forehand or a basic backhand, it's a toss-up, and what a toss-up means is that the winner of the faceoff is going to come down to luck and connection. The player with the higher faceoff rating will always win a toss-up, but in EASHL, it's just about whose timing is better and who's luckier. The basic backhand is one of my favorite moves just because it's easy to pull off, and there's only one move that can always beat it. Next up, we have the basic forehand. Now, the basic forehand is weird in the sense that it's a mirror of the basic backhand, but has a complete opposite counter moves. With the basic forehand, you beat the tie-up but lose to both stick lifts. Just like with the backhand, it's a flip of a coin with the basic forehand and the basic backhand. One thing about the basic forehand is that there's a few situations where it should be your go-to just because it only beats a tie-up and can pretty much lose to anything else. Moving on to the backhand stick lift, this is one of my favorites because it's very effective against opponents who don't know what they're doing on the face-off. The stick lift beats the basic forehand as well as a tie-up, which makes it very effective against people who like to do the tie-up all game. It loses to the basic backhand and the forehand stick lift, however, making it very hard to win against people who don't know what they're doing. This is kind of contradictory to what I just said, but you get the point. The only move it's a toss-up to is itself, so you don't have to worry about too much there. Moving on to my personal favorite move, the forehand stick lift. It's my favorite because it's hard to beat, as it beats or draws with all but one move. It beats the basic forehand and the backhand stick lift, and is a toss-up with the tie-up and itself. The only move it loses to is a basic backhander, which makes it the hardest face-off to counter in the game. Last but not least, we have the tie-up, which only beats the basic backhander, but is a toss-up with itself and the forehand stick lift. It loses to the basic forehand and the backhand stick lift. This is the only direct counter to the basic backhander, which makes it so effective against new players. Now, I didn't mention the deke and shot just because they aren't a viable face-off method. The deke loses to everything, and you can really only get it if the other player isn't playing or badly screws up the face-off. It has a slightly higher chance of working against a tie-up, but it's rarely ever going to work. The shot hasn't been tested thoroughly enough, however, it's also not something that you should be doing much of anyways. Moving on to strategy now, and I just wanted to go over some ways you can use this information to your advantage. My biggest tip is that if the opposing center is lining up on their forehand, always do a forehand stick lift. Since the forehand stick lift only loses to the backhand, the worst that can happen is you get unlucky in the toss-up. A general face-off tip I have is to be defensive and react to what you think your opponent will be doing, rather than being aggressive. It's better to guess what your opponent is doing and react accordingly. If you want to keep your opponent guessing, keep lining up on your backhand. Since there's so many different things you can do on your backhand and can counter everything, your opponent will likely start guessing as to what you're doing. When starting off a game, not knowing what your opponent's face-off habits are, I recommend tying them up because it's rare anyone ever does a stick lift as their first move. Most of the time, people will start with a basic backhand or a tie-up, so the worst thing that can happen is getting unlucky in the toss-up. Last but not least, change it up. Unless it's actually working, don't be doing the same face-off move 20 times in a row. This makes it so much easier for your opponent to read and counter you. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.